This happened a few months ago. I was 35 and excited about my assignment with a NASA-funded project. I'd be exploring an ancient structure beneath the Pacific Ocean. I thought it might change everything we knew about history. I was ready. Or so I thought. I arrived at the research facility on a rocky isle in Oregon. The waves crashed against the shore. Thick mist hung in the air. It felt different from my other projects, almost like stepping into someone else's story. My team and I set up equipment. Everyone was buzzing with excitement and anxiety. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. On my first dive, I climbed into the submersible with my two teammates. As we descended, the water grew darker. Then, I saw it. The structure below. It was ancient, big, and pulsing. I thought maybe it was some bioluminescent algae. But soon, I felt a strange pull. I wanted to know more. Why did it glow? Suddenly, our sonar readings acted weird. I felt vibrations shaking the vessel. My heart raced. I tried to stay calm, telling myself it was just technical glitches. Still, my mind told me we should be cautious. We pressed on anyway, eager to discover more. That evening I noticed Lisa, one of my team members, looking distant. She had lost her energy. I asked her if she was okay, but she brushed me off. A chill ran down my spine. Something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I went to bed, but sleep wouldn't come. The ocean sounded louder outside, as if whispering secrets. The next day, Lisa was gone. No one could find her. The mood shifted drastically. Tension filled the air, but I covered my fear. We decided to continue our dives, hoping to uncover the truth. But every time I returned to that structure, my gut told me something was watching. Nights grew worse. I heard strange sounds, almost like whispers. They pierced the silence. I woke up in a cold sweat. My heart pounded in my chest. I began seeing visions, faces of ancient people twisted in terror. I didn't tell anyone. I thought they'd laugh, or worse, believe I was losing it. One night, I stared out at the ocean when I heard it. A voice, soft and inviting. "Come play with us." I turned around quickly, but no one was there. A pit of dread formed in my stomach. Was I losing my mind? I blinked, trying to regain my focus, but the truth slipped away like water through my fingers. Days turned into a blur. Our team grew anxious. I felt we were digging too deep, uncovering things better left alone. I didn't know how much longer I could pretend everything was fine. The whispers got louder. They called my name. Mark. Then one night, something snapped. I opened my eyes to find my team staring at me. "Where's Lisa?" I blurted. The room fell silent. I felt a cold rush of fear. What did we awaken? What had this place done to us? None of us were the same. I could sense doom creeping in. Whatever was waiting in that dark water was far beyond anything we had ever imagined. That night, I lay awake, replaying the day's events in my mind. The whispers had intensifying again. Mark. It was as if the ocean was calling me into the depths. I tried to convince myself it was just stress, but that rational thought didn't hold. I couldn't ignore it. When morning came, my team gathered. They looked haggard. Shadows under their eyes mirrored my own. I suggested we take a day off from diving. We needed to regroup. But there was hesitation. Jake, my strongest ally, argued we had to continue if we were going to find Lisa. I felt the tension rise. What if Lisa was gone for good? "We can't stop now, not when we're so close," Jake insisted. A few others nodded, caught in his confidence. The fear crept back as I glanced at the ocean stretching beneath us. It looked deceptively calm. Reluctantly, I joined the group in the submersible again. As we descended, I could feel the weight of the water pressing in. This time, however, there was an urgency I hadn't felt before. My throat tightened as I looked out. The structure loomed larger than before, its glow brighter. It felt alive. Then, as if the ocean itself were spinning, the sonar blared. Sudden alarm screamed, pulling everyone back to the reality of the situation. "What is happening?" Amy, our engineer, shouted. The submersible lurched, slamming us against our harnesses. Panic hit hard. "Check the readings," I yelled, gripping the controls. But the digital screens were chaotic. The lines jumped wildly. I couldn't make sense of it. Just then, I glanced outside, where the structure seemed to pulsate rhythmically, as if responding to our fear. Everything went black. The power flickered off. I was plunged into darkness, surrounded by my panicked teammates. "We need to ascend," I shouted, scrambling to find the manual controls. My breath came fast. The whispering had returned, weaving into the silence. "Mark, come play." I'd almost forgotten it among my rising dread, but the words were soft, seductive. I shook my head fiercely. No, not this time. I couldn't give in. Jake was hitting buttons randomly, a look of desperation in his eyes. "What's that?" he yelled, pointing out the viewfinder. I turned. There, so close I could almost reach out and touch it. An opening in the structure glimmered, outlined in a fascinating light. The voice rang out again, stronger now. "It's okay, Mark. Come closer." Before I could respond, the submersible jolted violently, making each of us scream. I felt the cold grip of terror tighten my chest. Then suddenly, the power flickered back on. The lights returned. Jake groaned as he pulled himself up. What just happened? I didn't have time to answer. That's when I saw it. A figure swam outside, human-like but distorted. The whispers grew into a cacophony of laughter. I couldn't breathe. Something was watching us, wanting us. Before I could voice my fear, the lights flickered again, plunging us into darkness. I could hear my teammates whispering frantically. My mind raced. What had we unleashed? Would we join Lisa in whatever lay in that cursed structure? Then, something slammed against the submersible. The vessel shuddered violently, rattling my bones. I realized we might not make it back. We were no longer just explorers. We had stirred something unimaginable from the depths, and it was coming for us. The lights flickered back on with a harsh buzz. I squinted against the brightness, my heart racing. My team looked shaken, their faces pale. It felt like we were trapped in a nightmare where escape was a distant dream. I caught Jake's eye. He nodded, a silent agreement that we needed to fight whatever was happening. "Check the exterior cameras," I shouted. "We need to see what just hit us." Amy scrambled to bring them up. The screen flickered to life, revealing the dark water outside, shifting in strange patterns. I focused hard. The figure was still there, moving fluidly, almost effortlessly. Its outline was obscured, but I could see it watching us. They're in the water," Amy gasped, her voice trembling. "I think they're trying to get inside." I felt bile rise in my throat. "Get us out of here," I yelled, gripping the controls, but the submersible was locked in position. We were stuck. Suddenly, the opening in the structure glowed brighter, pulling my gaze. The whispers washed over me again, more insistent this time. "Mark, come play." "No," I shouted, shaking my head. The sound was invasive, creeping into my mind. I refused to listen. I couldn't allow it to take hold. A panic-induced idea flashed in my mind. "Use the emergency buoy. We need to send a signal," I said. Amy and Jake fumbled with the controls, but it felt like time was running out. The figure outside seemed to move closer, its movements deliberate and calculating, as if it was testing our defenses. Suddenly the lights flickered again, and this time the electricity cut out completely. Darkness wrapped around us. We were surrounded by a suffocating blackness. I could hear Amy's shaky breaths and Jake's low mutterings. I gripped onto my harness, fighting back the rising tide of fear. "Stay calm. We can't lose it now. It's okay." Even as I spoke, I felt like I was trying to convince myself more than anyone else. Then I felt it. A soft thump beneath us, followed by a scratchy sound. It was like something was trying to claw its way into the vessel. The whispers swelled, a wild chorus of voices calling my name. "Mark! We're waiting!" "Shut it out!" I shouted, my voice hoarse. But I could feel my resolve cracking. "It's trying to lure us," I said, my own words sending a shiver down my spine. "We need to—" Before I could finish, the lights blared back to life, illuminating the viewfinder. Arising in front of us was the figure, clearer now. It resembled Lisa, but her features were contorted, her eyes hollow and unblinking. "Mark," she called out sweetly, as if all was well. "You can join us, just come inside." Everything in me screamed to turn away, to look down and ignore the horrors above. But I couldn't move. My gaze was locked onto hers, a magnetic pull I couldn't resist. Then I heard the sound, a low growl emanating from the depths of the ocean. It wasn't coming from outside. It was under us, emerging beneath the faint roar of the submersible. I felt the metal hull shudder. "Something's coming!" Jake yelled, and just as he said it, the structure began to quake and the water around us churned violently. Then the lights went out again. This time, I couldn't hear my teammates. I was alone in the darkness, surrounded by the whispers, pulling me closer to the truth I didn't want to uncover. "Mark, it's time to play." A sense of dread washed over me. Whatever was waiting was rising, and I was about to find out exactly what it wanted. The darkness was thick, almost tangible. I clutched my harness, heart pounding, willing the lights to return. They flickered back on, but my relief was short-lived. The screen was filled with chaos. The figure outside had transformed. It no longer resembled Lisa. It was now a grotesque amalgamation of limbs and shadows, clawing at the glass. I swallowed hard. My instinct screamed for me to retreat, to shut my eyes, but I forced myself to stay focused. "Amy? Jake!" I yelled, my voice breaking. "Can anyone hear me?" There was no response. I reached for the communication panel, praying for some sign of life. Panic clawed at my throat. "Guys, respond!" As if on cue, the lights flickered again, and Jake's voice crackled to life. "Mark, we're—" Then, static flooded the channel. I squeezed my eyes shut, fighting against an overwhelming sensation of despair. A sound rattled through the submersible, a grinding noise that echoed like thunder. The beast, whatever it was relentless. Suddenly, the emergency alarms blared to life, casting a stark red glow across the interior. "Activate the buoy!" I shouted, desperate. As I scanned the controls, I cursed under my breath. The system was unresponsive. My pulse quickened, and my breaths came in shallow gasps. I had to make a choice. I could try to access the manual override, or I could attempt to investigate, maybe figure out what was happening outside. The thought of opening the hatch terrified me, yet staying in this confined space felt like a trap. Gathering my courage, I punched the override panel, praying for a miracle. The lights dimmed momentarily, then surged back to life. I rushed to the viewport, pressing my face against the cold glass. But I wasn't prepared for what I saw. The creature twisted and writhed, its form massive and dark, reminiscent of something prehistoric. Long tendrils reached out, lashing against the hull. I took a step back, heart racing. It was like something from a horror movie, a nightmare made real. Then I noticed something beneath the creature. The shape of a structure emerged from the murky depths, the silhouette of ancient ruins crafted from some alien material that shimmered even in the dark waters. That's when I saw it. A flash of light glinted off its surface, a glyph of some sort. It was familiar, yet ancient, like a language lost to time. I couldn't explain why, but it stirred something deep inside me, a memory I couldn't grasp. Suddenly a jolt rocked the submersible, knocking me off my feet. I crashed into a panel, hard, my vision blurting out spots of light. I held my breath. What now? I thought. Had we hit something? I scrambled back up, focused on the viewport. The whispers escalated, enveloping me again. "Mark, come join us." Without thinking, I lunged for the emergency buoy control, but my fingers trembled as I hesitated. What if the signal attracted the creature? What if it was all part of its plan? As I fought against the growing despair, the weight of that ancient structure loomed in my mind. What lay within? Intrigued and terrified, I realized the truth. We had stumbled upon something beyond our understanding. Another tremor shook the submersible. In that moment, I knew this wasn't just a simple encounter. We were caught in a web of something far more dangerous, and escaping would be more complicated than I had ever imagined. Then, amid the chaos, I heard another voice. This one familiar, and I realized with a jolt who it belonged to. "Mark, you need to trust us." It was Lisa again. But can I trust her now? I couldn't process her words. Trust us? I thought, heart racing. The creature outside was more than I could handle. The last thing I needed was to be caught up in another layer of confusion and danger. "Lisa," I called, my voice trembling. "What's happening? Where are you?" But there was only silence, that thick, suffocating silence that gnawed at my nerves. I returned to the viewport, scanning the shadows that swirled around the ruins. The creature seemed to sense my tension. It paused, its many eyes, if I could even call them that, pinning me in place, studying me. "Mark, it's important," Lisa's voice returned, echoing in my mind. "We're close to understanding. Everything. Everything." I felt a rush of frustration build. "What do you mean? What's down there?" But then I saw it again, the glyph on the ancient structure. It pulsated in a way that drew my attention, almost like it was calling for me. Intrigued, I turned my focus to it. I had to know what it meant. "Come on, Mark. Don't lose your nerve," I muttered under my breath. I moved closer to the viewport, hoping for clarity. The creature shifted, tendrils slamming against the hull, and I staggered back, the impact reverberating through the walls. Okay, I shouted, panicking. "Let's get out of here." But my hands were still shaky. The buoy was my only option. If I didn't try to signal for help, I might never escape this nightmare. I breathed deeply, forcing my fingers to press against the control panel. Just as I was about to initiate the sequence, a tremendous pounding rattled the vessel, and the lights flickered unpredictably. Out of instinct, I crouched low, glimpsing through the viewport again. The creature was gone. The water outside was eerily still, but the darkness held a menacing silence, and that glyph still shone, as though the ruins were waiting for someone. Waiting for me. "Mark, it's time." I heard Lisa again, clearer this time. "You can save us. You just need to let go of your fear." Fear. It wrapped around me like a vice, squeezing tighter. What if I made the wrong choice? But suddenly, the structure's surface shimmered even brighter, illuminating the dark waters and drawing my gaze like a moth to a flame. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to see where this led. Before I could talk myself out of it, I grabbed the emergency buoy control and initiated the signal. The alarm howled through the cabin, drowning out my thoughts. "I hope this works," I whispered, as I prepared to face whatever came next. Then the lights blinked out again, plunging me into darkness. Panic surged. "What is happening?" I shouted into the void. I turned towards the communication panel, but the static roared louder, then silence. In that moment I understood. The creature had been keeping me at bay. The glyph was a key, and now in utter darkness I was standing on the edge of something monumental. But a sudden crash rocked the submersible once more, followed by a chilling sound. It was close, whatever it was, and I could feel it. I gripped the panel, heart thudding. Then I saw it. A huge shadow overtook the viewport, looming closer than ever. And just like that, I understood the horrifying truth. We weren't the first to seek this ruin, and we wouldn't be the last. The lights flickered back on, but the image that greeted me was far from reassuring. The shadow was gone, yet the water outside shimmered with an otherworldly glow. I squinted, searching for the creature, but my focus was drawn back to the ruins below. "Mark, you need to go down there," Lisa urged in my head. "It holds the answers." I shook my head, uncertainty flooding my thoughts. How could I possibly trust that? What answers could come from facing whatever had haunted me? But as the silence wrapped around me again, I felt an undeniable tug to understand, to confront whatever lay beneath. The emergency buoy signal continued to blare, but I wasn't certain help was on the way. I stole a glance at the control panel. What if I tried to descend instead? Gathering every ounce of courage, I pressed the descent button. The submersible lurched, plunging deeper into the cold, dark waters. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a distant rumble vibrated through the hull, making my stomach twist. "This is insane," I muttered. "I'm going to regret this." As we descended, the ruins grew closer, the glyphs on their surface flickering wildly. It was as if they recognized my presence, calling louder in the stillness. The water around me seemed to pulse in response, and I fought against the fear creeping into my mind. Suddenly a flash illuminated the depths and I gasped. The creature I had glimpsed earlier emerged from the shadows, gliding through the water with a speed that sent chills down my spine. It was massive, its shape shifting and grotesque, tentacles trailing behind like dark ribbons. "Mark, stay calm," Lisa's voice cut through my panic. "You have to show you're not afraid." "Easier said than done," I shouted back, my pulse racing as the creature drew nearer. It paused, regarding me with a multitude of glimmering eyes that felt as though they were boring into my soul. "Stay away!" I yelled, slamming my hand against the controls. I shot the submersible downward, desperate to escape its gaze. But my escape was cut short when I collided with something. The impact rattled the vessel violently, and I struggled to regain control. I looked outside to see that I had crashed into one of the ancient structures, a wall covered in glowing glyphs. "Oh no," I whispered, heart racing. I frantically checked the panel. The lights turned red, flashing warnings as alarms blared. I had to get out of here. The creature swam nearby, its eyes watching, waiting. My heart sank. That was my only way out. I had to unlock the secrets behind that glyph if I wanted to survive. I was trapped, a choice forcefully laid before me. Then something unexpected happened. As I stared at the glyphs, they began to glow brighter, illuminating the chamber. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the submersible and resonating with something deep within me. "That's when I saw it," I breathed, caught off guard. 3 symbols clicked in my mind as they flashed before my eyes. They were a warning, or perhaps a key to something more. The creature crept closer, but this time, I didn't feel fear. Instead, a surge of determination burned inside me. I had to know what came next. The humming intensified, reverberating through the submersible. It felt like a heartbeat, a response to my presence. I focused on the glyphs, trying to decipher their meaning. What could these symbols indicate? A path? A warning? Or something entirely different? The creature hovered just out of reach, its eyes glimmering with an unsettling intelligence. I tried to ignore it, but I could feel its intent pressing against me. I had to figure this out, and fast. The alarm still screeched, but I couldn't let that distract me. I pulled up a digital interface on the control panel, hoping it could help me translate the symbols. The screen flickered as I tapped through the settings. My heart raced. The creature was circling, and I could almost sense its curiosity. That's when I saw it again. The 3 symbols I had memorized. They weren't random. They aligned in a way that made sense. The first resembled a spiral, the second, a triangle, and the third, a circle. I was certain of it now. They formed a sequence, a key to something hidden. But what could it unlock? Suddenly the submersible jolted again, this time more violently. I cursed under my breath as I gripped the controls, fighting to stabilize the vessel. I glanced out the window, and the creature was gone. I exhaled with relief. Maybe I had driven it away. I turned back to the glyphs, eager to trance my thoughts. Then, I noticed a faint glow forming at the center of the triangle symbol. My eyes widened as it pulsed. Something was happening in the ruins. Were they responding to my presence? "Mark, you're onto something." Lisa's voice broke through my thoughts again. "You need to touch the glyphs, feel the connection." Touch the glyphs? I glanced around the control panel, searching for a way to interface with them directly. But the vessel was isolated from the outside world. Unless... I realized I had never tried initiating a physical connection via the manual override. I hesitated. It felt like a leap into the unknown. But nothing else would work. I took a deep breath and pressed the override button. The submersible's locks disengaged, allowing the manipulative arms to extend outside. As they reached toward the glyphs, the humming grew louder, the walls of the ruin vibrating with anticipation. Tentatively, I guided the arms closer. When they finally made contact, a surge of energy rushed through me. The symbols lit up, illuminating the entire chamber in a dazzling array of colors. "Now," Lisa urged, her voice a whisper against the cacophony. "Use your will. Connect with them." I focused on the glyphs, feeling a flow of power pulsing through. Images flashed in my mind, the sequence of symbols intertwined with ancient figures and landscapes. They danced vibrantly, weaving a tale long forgotten. I managed to make out a recurring figure, a face, humanoid yet not. Then everything went dark. The lights flickered out, and I was plunged into utter darkness. Panic surged through me. I had to get control back. I wrestled with the manual, praying for light. But before I could regain my bearings, I heard it, a low, rumbling growl echoing from the depths of the ruins. It was back, and it was angrier than before. I forced myself to breathe. The growl reverberated through the walls, sending a shiver down my spine. My eyes darted around the dark cabin, searching for any sign of the creature. I wasn't ready for a confrontation. I needed to think. "Lisa," I called, but the sound of my voice felt swallowed by the darkness. I fumbled for the emergency lights, but all I could manage was a flicker that only deepened my anxiety. The growl became a low rumble, echoing closer, and my heart raced faster. I moved my hand across the control panel, desperate for some illumination or direction. Then, without warning, the submersible shook again, this time with more force. The vibrations sent bolts of fear shooting through me. "Focus, Mark," I muttered to myself as I steeled my resolve. I recalled the last thing I saw before the lights went out. The glowing glyphs. Whatever that energy was, it had to mean something. It felt too important to let go. With trembling fingers, I activated the manual override again, hoping to get the arms back to the glyphs. Maybe if I could reach them one more time, I could make sense of this energy. I halted the manual movement with a thought. Suddenly, the darkness was penetrated by a faint, otherworldly glow. It pulsed rhythmically in time with the growl, coming from the direction of the ruins. I squinted, trying to make sense of it. The creature, was it somehow connected to whatever was happening with the glyphs? I adjusted my grip on the controls and activated the communication system again. "Lisa, do you read me? I think I can see something." With the soft glow lighting the chamber, I could see shadows shifting beyond the submersible's glass. The creature lurked just out of sight, but I could feel its eyes boring into me, more intense than before. "Mark, this is not the time to hesitate." Lisa's voice crackled back through the connection. "Whatever is happening, you need to engage with it now." I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment crashing down on me. I summoned every ounce of courage, reaching for the controls, guiding the manipulative arms toward the light. As the arms extended into the translucent glow, the humming intensified. Suddenly I was flooded with visions again. The ancient figures swirling amidst the very glyphs that now ignited the chamber. But this time, the face I recognized was twisted into a grimace, an expression of both pain and fury. It wasn't just a guardian of knowledge, it was trapped. "Do you see it?" Lisa's words were urgent. "You have to set it free." Free? The concept sounded impossible. How could I release something that was shrouded in myth? My gut twisted at the thought of unleashing the creature again. But what choice did I have? Just as I made contact with the glyphs again, the growl shifted, transforming into a cry, a plea desperate for release. I felt the power rush through me, and in that instant of connection I understood. Whatever was hidden in the depths desired to be acknowledged, not feared. But the creature was still here, and there was no telling what it would do next. I braced myself, hoping against hope that I wasn't making a mistake. I opened myself to the energy, ready to confront the truth of the ancient structure. Just as I took that leap, a fall of silence engulfed everything, leaving me on the edge of despair. I wasn't sure what would happen next. But one thing was clear. The true challenge had only just begun. I hovered at the edge of uncertainty, the pulsing energy from the glyphs coursing through the manipulative arms and into my fingertips. It felt as if the very essence of the ancient structure was alive, revealing secrets locked away for centuries. I wanted to understand, but was caught between imagination and fear. "Mark, what's happening?" Lisa's anxious voice broke through the silence. I can feel something," I stammered, heart thudding in my chest. My breath came in quick gasps as the room filled with the phantom melody of an age long lost. The glow from the glyphs intensified, pulsating like a heartbeat, the visibility shifting around me. Then, without warning, the creature roared again. The sound was raw, its anger vibrating through the submersible. I jerked my head to the glass, feeling its presence bearing down on me. "Focus, Mark," Lisa urged again. But I was too caught up in the emotions swirling within me. The plea from the glowing glyphs and the rage of the creature clashed within my mind. I finally leaned closer to the control panel, desperately trying to manipulate the glyphs. Touching the glowing forms felt almost instinctual. As my fingers skimmed the surface, visions flashed before me. I saw the creature clearly now, a magnificent being bound by chains forged from fear and misunderstanding. Its eyes were deep pools of sorrow, tapping into a longing for freedom. Then it shifted. The creature's form twisted, revealing the jagged, translucent shadows of its true body. My heart sank. Fear gripped me, but I held tight to the connection I had discovered. It was confused, possibly even hurt, and I needed to get the glyphs aligned. Suddenly, the lights in the cabin flickered violently. The pulsing stopped, leaving a chilling silence. My safe haven felt less secure. "What's happening to the lights?" I shouted into the communication system, panic mixing with the rising adrenaline. "I don't know. The energy readings are spiking." Lisa's voice sounded crackled and distant, as if something was interfering with our connection. Then I noticed it. The shadow was moving closer, pushed by an unseen force. The growl escalated into a frenzy, reverberating off the submersible's walls. My instincts screamed at me to retreat, but I wasn't ready to run. The truth of this encounter was demanding my attention. "Lisa, I need to push deeper into this energy. But if I unleash whatever this is..." I trailed off, doubt and fear twisting in my gut. "Do it, Mark. It has to be dealt with whichever way it goes," she urged. There wasn't time to waste. With a firm grip on the controls, I steeled myself. If I could just align the glyphs properly, maybe I could create a conduit for the creature. I focused intently, concentrating on the rhythm of the energy, channeling everything I had into the control panel. As the glyphs illuminated, the cabin shimmered, and for a moment, the creature paused. That split second of silence shattered when the creature lunged forward. The glass shuddered beneath its force. "Mark!" Lisa's voice rose in alarm. "It's reacting to you." I had no time to second guess. "I'm going to try to..." Before I could finish my sentence, the submersible jolted violently, knocking me against the metal frame. My hands scrambled to grab the controls, fear coursing through me like ice. Just then, a brilliant light erupted from the glyphs, flooding the cabin. "Hold on!" I shouted, realizing that whatever I dreamed of setting free was about to make its presence known, not just to me, but to the world. Then everything went dark. The world around me flickered back to life, but everything felt different. I was still in the submersible, but the darkness seemed heavier, as if the pressure of the ocean had somehow transformed along with the air inside the cabin. The lights had returned, but not before a vision cut through my mind. Flashes of ancient people, shadows of stories untold, and something far more horrifying lurking behind them. I found myself staring into the viewport. The creature was gone. My heart skipped a beat as I quickly surveyed my surroundings. The glowing glyphs had dimmed, almost seeming to mourn the creature's absence. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Something was wrong. "Mark, can you hear me?" Lisa's voice crackled through the communication system. I struggled to find my words. Had I truly made it out? Was it over? I think so," I stammered, my voice faltering. "What happened? Where's the creature?" A heavy silence enveloped me, broken only by the faint hum of the submersible's systems. There was a surge in energy, The glyphs. It's like they absorbed it. I can't explain it. It seems calm now. Calm? The word echoed in my mind, a thin layer of doubt growing beneath the surface. My gut twisted as I stared into the depths, half expecting the creature to reappear. But what does that mean? Are we safe? I think we might be, Lisa replied slowly. But we need to get back to the surface. Now. As I reoriented the controls, I felt a flicker of doubt. Had we truly understood what that ancient structure was guarding? Or had we merely pushed the boundaries of something too powerful to contain? Climbing back to the surface, my mind raced with thoughts of Lisa and the others. I couldn't let myself believe this would just end peacefully. The ascent felt like a fragile promise, rising through layers of uncertainty. I could still hear the whispers in my mind, echoing the last haunting invitation. Come play. The phrase lingered as I gripped the controls, my knuckles white as they foreshadowed a deeper unraveling. Finally, light broke above, and I guided the submersible towards it. We breached the surface with a splash, and as the immediate chaos faded, the quiet of the ocean rang in welcome. A horizon of potential loomed around us, but the unease crawled back, settling heavy in my chest. Mark, get the signal out now. Lisa's urgency heightened my focus. I activated the emergency buoy, sending a visible signal to the research facility above. But as I glanced around, the uneasy feeling returned. The water was deceptively calm, but memories of the depths haunted me. I kept waiting for the creature to breach the surface, for the whispers to return, confirming that I hadn't escaped at all. The ocean was vast and filled with secrets I couldn't fathom. Perhaps this structure hadn't been a guardian at all. Maybe it was a warning, a testament of ages past to be respected, not unleashed. After moments of uncertainty, a voice edged through the static on the radio. Mark, are you all right? What happened down there? I hesitated, unable to articulate the truth that lay simmering beneath the surface of my thoughts. Did anyone else need to know? What if they weren't ready for the reality of it? A world intertwined with the ancient and the sinister. We need to deepen our understanding. There's more below. As the crew began to pull us back to safety, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had only scratched the surface. The glyphs, were they a key or a curse? What truths awaited in the shadows the way they once did in the depths? And what of Lisa? Did she truly escape, or was she now part of that enigmatic whisper? I was left with too many unanswered questions and far too much uncertainty. All I knew was that the ocean below hid mysteries too alluring and terrifying for anyone to fully grasp. I took a moment, watching the waves lap against the submersible, pondering what it truly meant to dive into the unknown. That will always hold echoes in my mind, because sometimes the most profound truths retreat into the darkness, waiting for the next curious soul brave enough to seek them out. As we made our way back to the facility, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Above, the sun shone brightly, but down below lurked shadows I couldn't quite leave behind. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, not daring to look back at the depths, but knowing I would never be the same. I moved to a different city after that. Sometimes I wonder if those glyphs still breathe, if the creature still waits in the abyss. But mostly, I try not to think about it, because some mysteries are better left undiscovered.